Hey everybody, welcome to the video. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike. We're running for Dirt Perfect again today. We're taking the C8500 first. We're gonna be running the 90-2 Skidsteer later on. And the John Deere 120 is already at the job site. Mike dropped it off the other day there. We're doing some stump removal and sloping back a bank. First things first, let's get the truck fired up. Let's get over there and I'll show you exactly what we're getting into. Battery season already? I feel like the last battery season just ended. Crazy how fast we're getting into that. Good thing is the Outback had a dead battery this morning too. So I've got my jump pack with me. Pop that a little, oh, she's kind of sticky sometimes. There you go, just give her a swift little kick. Oh, they look gorgeous. A lot of people give Mike grief about his batteries, but honestly, I think he's pretty forward thinking. Think about the amount of money you save. If you just had Anderson connectors on all your trucks, like this Anderson connector on the jump pack, you wouldn't have to buy batteries for everything. You just have one battery for everything. Let's see, 12 or 24. We're in parallel, we're 12. Let's see if that works. Now what do we got? I'm gonna leave the truck run for just a little bit since that battery's dead this morning, but this is what we're doing. You see how he can mow down there? Right down there, the owner of this property can keep this all mowed, keeps it looking really nice. There's an old culvert here. There used to be an entrance. Now there's a barn. We're gonna pull that out. Then we're gonna rework this bank so he can keep all this mowed as well. You can see there is a phone line here, but it's all abandoned. So it's all coming out. It's all old copper line. All the fiber is on the other side of the road. The phone company did a very high-tech technique to do that. What they did is they disconnected the line and waited 2 weeks and nobody called and complained, so they figured there's nobody on that copper line anymore. That's the theory we're going with. There's a pedestal there that's gonna come out. And then we've got some stumps to take out. These should come out okay, especially on the edge of the bank. But then there's this monster. I think Mike said this was a maple. That's a pretty good sized stump. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get that out or not, but we're gonna try. There is one thing he said I need to not damage, and I gotta find it. Figure out what he's talking about. There it is. It's just buried under all this mess. I think this treetop blew over the other day when we had that storm. There's a fiber optic junction box. There's no fiber optic cable here. There's a conduit that runs from this side under the highway over to this junction box here. So if he ever wants fiber optic over there, then the conduit is already in place and they can run the fiber under the highway. That's all that is. There's not actually any fiber or anything in there yet, but they don't want us to destroy the box, obviously. Let's get this thing fired up. That's a strange route. Odd. Alright, let's go to work. Must have been a rough day. We're gonna be off the highway, a pretty good clip, but we'll throw a couple out just to get them to slow down a touch. You know how it is. Safety at some point. Safety at some point. See if we can get the air conditioning on. Oh yeah, she fired up great for us. Overheads. We got one overhead power line over there. Secondary drops in. We'll just start out and see how loose these are. Pretty loose. Not a lot going on there, is there? We'll get them out. Chew this up. It's not going to come out in one piece. So we gotta be able to just chew it up okay. the tooth anywhere. Oh dear. What time at? Let me look. Well, keep looking for it. Ah, who's that tooth? Look what I spy. Right there, see it? There it is. Yeah. They always show up. It's not a big deal if the tooth breaks off. You just put a new keeper in, which if I'm thinking correctly, old Captain Kleeman thought ahead and put a spare keeper in a while ago last time I broke the last one. But it's the teeth that are expensive. You lose the teeth, that's kind of a problem. We got the tooth, so that's good. When you get done with popping stumps, I'll put it back. I'll put that tooth back on there real quick. No sense in putting it back on right now because we're just going to end up breaking it off probably. Oh yeah. Pen sliding out on me too, but luckily I got a hammer. What do we need? Need to roll up a little bit. See where the holes are at. I don't know if we got an extra bolt in there or not. We'll find out real quick. I found this bolt. Braided bolt. I don't know if you guys run braided bolts where you're at, but they work fairly well. Hold on. Oh yeah, that's going somewhere. It's looking really good. I'm pretty sure had that stump not been rotten, we'd have been here all day, and I probably would have went and got the stump bucket for that to make it come out a little easier. But being rotten like that, it just kind of chewed apart. We got one load of stumps on there, probably one load of some trash sitting right there. Let me get all that hauled off, cleaned up. So let's go ahead and start pulling this up. See what we find. go get rid of that metal real quick. Then we'll get rid of these 2 pieces of concrete. Parked over there. We're done with that for now. We're going to get on to the work with the skid steer. I'm just going to kind of smash my ruts out here real quick. I almost wish I had a dozer down here. Yep, I agree 100% with Real Life Mike. I do still wish I had the dozer down there. I think we would be able to knock this out pretty quick. I think skid steers are great at a lot of things. Load and carry, sure. Anything that requires auxiliary hydraulics like power rakes or augers or what have you, sure, they're fantastic for that. Carrying grade over a long distance, not really. I'm not a fan of it. I just don't think they have a long enough track frame. I think you end up with a lot of whoop-de-doos and whoop-de-don'ts. I mean, you can get it, don't get me wrong, but I think it takes you a lot longer than what if I just had a little D4 finish dozer. If Mike's D4 finish dozer was available, I really wish I would have had that for this job. And if you're wondering why the property owner is standing there with a very concerned look on his face, I did not realize until a little bit later that neither Mike or myself had mentioned to him that that phone line was dead. He was still, at that moment in time, convinced that it was live and active and concerned I was going to hit it. And rightfully so, because I had every intention and do just rip majority of it out because it's not needed anymore. It is dead. It is abandoned. And to get the slope that we want so he can actually mow this nice and easy, we're going to kind of have to cut into it for a little bit. So that's why he's standing there with that concerned look on his face. And he's 100% right had it been a live line. But we are all good there, and it worked out fine. We're going to do our best to get this sloped out. I will give you a little bit of a spoiler alert. We do throw a track later on in the video, so you got that to look forward to. We are getting very close to the next step. This is part of that fiber optic. That's that fiber optic junction box I was telling you about earlier. We're getting very close to the next step, which will be, well, one, we're going to go get the laser and double check my grade and make sure this drains. It should have plenty of fall, but probably ought to double check, make sure it actually drains. And then we'll get the power rake and just polish the heck out of it. So this is where we're at now, looking pretty good. Doesn't look terrible. Let's go get the power rake. I should have brought the power rake with me. I don't know why I didn't. Let's go get the power rake. We'll come back and polish this up just a little bit. Conveniently located. We'll move this one first. Yeah, consider it a battery check for the equipment. Professional chalking, that'd be a fun sport. What about you there, big fella? You got any of the juice today? Oh, okay. Clean. Beautiful. Should be able to just up and over, honestly. Brought my laser with me too. We'll just double check. I'm not worried about like a certain percentage. I just want to make sure, you know, it flows downhill. That's the big thing there, bud. So we're just gonna go down to the far end, set grade, and make sure it doesn't gain on the way. Right here. That'll work. Looks like for the first 75 feet, it's pretty much level all the way across there, which would be fine. That's pretty common when you're down here in the flat areas for us. And then the last 30 or 40 feet, it's got about 4 or 5 inches to get it out of there the rest of the way. It's good enough to go ahead and start power raking it. This tilts it left and right, but whenever you're working these angles like that, it kind of locks it in and causes things to dig a little bit, and it doesn't have a float function, which would be pretty handy. So anyway, I just run this pin out, let that cylinder hang out, and then now that can, well, you'll see. It can run back and forth, and that cylinder just kind of hangs out. I just want to show you anyway. It's got freedom of movement, as long as that doesn't fall back down in there. At some point the Rode microphone died because they don't make it all the way through the day, so adjust your volume accordingly or leave a comment about the audio. Just know it goes ignored when you do. Just get that out of the way there, bud. Let's move this stuff out of the way. I was walking to get Subaru and Dirt Perfect just happened to drive by. We are in the kind of hometown, and this is on his way home. So he happened to have all his tools in his service truck. That's kind of handy. He's going to get the track hoe. We're going to see if we can't just pick that end up with the track hoe. There's a power line there, and then, you know, walk it back on. It's not bad to do by yourself, but since he's here, it's definitely a heck of a lot easier when you got an extra set of these hands. That's what they are. You know, all the way.
You're thinking for the bleed off factor.
Oh, that makes sense.
Left. Go easy, I'll tell you if it's the wrong way. There you go, that's the right way. Back slow. Gotta be clean clothes, ain't it?
Huh? It's
yeah. All right, keep going. All right.
So this is what we started with. And this is what we ended up with. Overall, not bad. Super manageable. He can mow that, no problem. That all looks good. It's supposed to rain tonight, so it ought to kind of beat that down in a little bit. And if there are any little bitty low spots in there, they'll silt in. and be good to go. He's going to seed and straw, like I said, tonight or tomorrow. Be good. So it's actually a couple days later. And I was editing this video and realized I forgot to put the tooth and bolt back in, so we're going to take care of that real fast. Losing a track isn't a huge deal. We've lost tracks on pretty much everything. I've lost tracks on this 120 along. That was years ago, back before he redid the undercarriage. Typically, the worse the undercarriage, the more likely you are to lose the track. We've lost tracks, or I've lost tracks in the 304, back when he had his U35. Apparently we filled this with concrete. So it's not the end of the world to lose tracks like that, but I will say, probably one of the most frustrating pieces of equipment to get a track back on is a skid steer. Their track frames are just kind of awkward. If anything, it's a reiteration of why a skid steer would not work for me on my property on the homestead. Being out in the woods like that all the time, those stumps, you run alongside those stumps, they get right on the edge of that track, and it just puts enough pressure on when you turn or track past it, it just rolls the track right off of there. Now on a dozer or a track car or something with steel tracks, normally you get a few warning pops, like Mike and I like to call them. But on a skid steer, typically once you hear the pop, especially on the back end, on the actual drive, normally that's game over. You're off at that point. Losing a tooth's not a big deal either. It's a wear item. Like I said, the tooth is the expensive part. The keepers we keep, I actually kept an extra one in there knowing we'd lose one at another point. What causes these keepers to break, as that shank underneath wears out just from hours of use, or, you know, digging without the tooth on there, you're putting more pressure on the keeper than you are the actual shank. When that shank is tight and it fits on there nice, all that pressure whenever you pry on one tooth goes to that shank and back into the bucket. But whenever they get wear on them like this, now you're putting a lot of pressure on the keeper itself, which causes that keeper to break and the tooth to fall off. Oh yeah, there we go. Beautiful. This is personal preference, but I like to put it in from the top side. So if the nut does fall off, maybe it'll hang out just long enough. That's just wishful thinking most of the time, but it's a good thought. You can really snug her down on there. It's not going to be as strong as a regular wrench, but I think that's going to come in handy. You can also kind of get it in different places than you can with a regular adjustable. Not a promo or partnership, just something I thought was kind of cool. I wanted to try. So he's good to go. The tooth back on. The bolt is back in. There's an extra keeper up in the track hole. Good to go. No worries there. Like I said, we are shopping for some equipment for the homestead. Definitely not going to be a skid steer. That was the reminder that I needed. Not that I needed a reminder, but good reminder for it. Kind of a crummy day, but I'm going to head up to the house and start working on the barn because I don't know, what else would a fella do? Got the old service Subaru running. She's doing great. ABS. Never heard of her. I'll catch you guys on the next one.